Hey, it's a Scotch Test Dummies. What does Metallica and whiskey have in common?
Hair.
I don't know about that.
Ah,
It's a new whiskey called Blackened.
Blackened.
Let's test it.
Tested! Acoustical bass style.
Metallica Black style. Now, admittedly, here I don't know that much. I've seen this. You heard Mark Gillespie on Whiskey Cast talking about this.
You know what had happened? I had a backlog of Mark's shows, and this is before David passed away. And I'm listening to Mark talk about his first time trying it. Of course, he's interviewed Dave, and they're talking about how Metallica went a little deeper than just saying, "Hey, repackage a barrel and put our name on it," and that Dave Pickerell had come up with the idea with some science behind it, although I still believe there's a lot of marketing here as well, which is totally fine, was the idea of using deep bass acoustics to hit the barrel and then allow that to the deep basses open up some of the wood. Now, he had this great story.
What happens, though, most distilleries fill a barrel with the distilled whiskey.
Sure.
Or the distilled
spirits.
Right. And then they set it in a warehouse and it just sits there.
Right. Ages.
So this theory is one of those, how do we help age the process? How do we do it? So they hit the barrels with the bass, it vibrates it. So the whiskey isn't just sitting in there.
Right.
It's moving, basically, and it's hitting that wood and making it extract more.
And on Gillespie's show, when Dave's interviewed, he says he's not trying to rapidly age. There's none of this. He had been at West Point, I think, in 1983. He was a West Point attendee, and I didn't know this. In the chapel at West Point, there's one of the largest organs that is in the world. Mm-hmm. And he loved sitting in there, and it was being played. And I can't remember the name of the fellow, but he hit a deep bass. And he said, I can't hold that. And he talked about how it vibrated his chest, but he said, I can't hold that note for too long because it could literally do damage to the chapel structure. This gave him the idea of what if we take different playlists from each of the members of Metallica. They create their own Metallica playlist. He then worked with, and I can't remember the name, but it was an acoustical company that does sound for concerts and stuff. But we actually use the different playlists on different barrels, and we blast the barrel with this for at least a month, if not longer. And the idea was it'll allow the fibers in the wood to open up a little bit, and allow the whiskey to get through the charcoal blackened layer to the red line, which has a lot of the vanillas and caramels and honeys. Okay. So that was the idea. Enough into that. That is the process. And then they did some scientific stuff to show that it actually does affect the whiskey. The whiskey doesn't say how old it is, though, if I remember, right?
All it says a blend of straight whiskeys finished in black brandy casks. So it's at least 2 years old.
Okay.
Right, straight whiskeys.
Right.
So
I don't know. Does it say straight bourbon?
Nope, just straight whiskeys.
Okay. So it should be 2 years old. And that's where it's a little bit different. It's unique. The straps is black in the world. So it's got a lot of, this is batch 085. My understanding is that some of the different barrels, I don't know about batches, but some of the different barrels have been hit with different playlists. So I don't know if you can go online and look at that. But enough of that. So some of that's marketing, some of it's science.
This will tuck you in, keep you warm with sin, till the Sandman he comes.
I knew you would love this part of it. Right.
Cinnamons, vanillas, and a wine type cask influence comes off on the nose. Almost smells like vermouth or something instead of black brandy.
Right.
But a good nose. And you said Mark Gillespie really liked this as well.
He did. I think he gave it a 95. That's from memory, which could be wrong.
Wow. Oh, that's really sweet.
See, they have born in cask, forged by sound.
Forged by sound. I saw that. A little astringent. Really sweet. I saw it's 45%, so it's not that strong. Cinnamons, berries, vanillas, blueberries. Does not taste like a bourbon.
No, and that's what threw me. I will admit that threw me at first. I mean, nor does it say bourbon, so it shouldn't. And the blueberries, I think you hit that. I actually was a little perplexed when I picked up that note, and I will admit right here, right now, I was like, what is that? I can't figure, and I just assumed, well, that's something that Brandy's doing.
Yeah, could be.
But when you just said blueberries, I was like, that actually hits that. That is what that was.
Blueberry waffles. How's that?
Yeah. Because I do get a little of the dry wood in the finish, that oak, dusty wood. The vanilla and the cream linger in the finish. I do caution, watch your expectations as you come into this, because I went into it thinking I knew some of that red the red layer and all that, and the stuff that David talked about on Gillespie's show. And I will admit, I was thinking I was going to get the vanilla and caramels more of a bourbon, and I don't know why my mind went there, but that is not what I got when I first tasted it at all, or today.
658, by the way.
6.5 not.
It almost feels like I would almost still stick with High West. It almost feels more like a rye than it does a bourbon, but not like rye strong, rye heavy.
Yeah, no pepper.
Just like maybe slight rye and almost more malted barley-ish, I think, than bourbon corn-esque.
I'm trying to peg the very first stage, the open.
I say malt. I get malt on the forefront.
And that's where this bottle has been actually pretty intriguing, because it doesn't. It's like I didn't. I had these bourbon expectations, and then it wasn't that. I was like, wow. And I had to step away from it and come back and try it again. And then I got some of the oak in there that would lean you toward kind of those typical oaks in a bourbon, but then I wasn't getting the caramels and the vanillas. It's a different finish.
Dusty,
and then the blueberry.
Dusty malt / grain, really. I would lean towards these whiskeys being more malted barleys, maybe even light ryes. Of course, your barrel finishing could be what distinguishes it not as a bourbon. It could be corn heavy. I don't get the corn heaviness of it, though.
Right. I can see what you're saying with some of those, but see with the barley, I usually get a little bit more of the that dusty kind of grassy mown hay stuff, which I don't get here. I see what you're saying on the rye. It's almost like rye notes without the pepper kick.
Yeah.
It's like a softened rye.
Yeah.
But I don't get the sweet corn flavors that I'm normally.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. That one's it's different. I'm still puzzling it out.
I like it. It's different. It's intriguing. It's well done. It doesn't come off as young.
No.
It comes off as older.
I mean,
aged.
Even the statement, a blend of straight whiskeys, finished in black brandy casks, remastered by Dave Pickerell. So, and it's an NAS, and so it's very, very smooth. I will admit, it almost tastes like it's a 40% ABV, but it's 45.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, and I'm kind of curious to continue exploring this to see if it changes a little bit. But those notes are there. The blueberry was definitely something. The finish with the wood that's in there and some of the vanillas and the creams, but it's light and it's muted. And I think you're right. The open for me, which is very different, is a rye-ish note without rye characters of spice and pepper. None of that's there, but it has these slight hints of rye.
Cherries. I just got some cherries. It's like the orange zest part of the rye.
Okay. Let me do some
more so than the spice rye.
Yes, but, it's not the spice. You want some water in there?
Yep. A little bit of black pepper, but that doesn't just always follow. That doesn't always just follow rye. But
do some more of your lyrics. That was good.
Oh, I should have thought of it ahead of time.
I know we do, because I feel like when I'm around him and cousin Shane, they will go into like 3-minute long, like and you're like, and you'll be hitting all the
say your
verbiage.
Yes. Don't forget my son, to include everyone. I tuck you in, warm within, keep you free from sin, till the Sandman he comes. That's actually Metallica Black is one of my favorite albums, and probably my favorite Metallica album.
And that was, again, we're into some of the marketing and some of the story, but Gillespie talked about how much Dave enjoyed spending time with the band. They actually flew. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They flew him out. They flew him out to Europe because they were on tour at the time when they picked him, and he was like the only choice, I guess, that they'd wanted. And he went and hung out with them, and they all just bonded and clicked real well. What I really liked about that was, we're in the midst of, I won't name everybody else, but there's a lot of famous celebrity folks that are branding different bottles of whiskey. And it seems like, from what Dave was saying, and with the idea of the music and everything, there was a lot more involvement than just pick a company, have them do a one-off with a barrel, and we'll slap our name on it. There was a lot more to it than that, and I appreciated that.
You brought up marketing. I was going to bring up Johnny Walker, Game of Thrones White Walker. That's a marketing bottle. That was slapped together and sent out there for people to buy. This Metallica worked with, but it's well done. It's delicious. I'm giving it a 93, 92, maybe a 93. Now, you bought this. This wasn't sent to us. Right. This isn't a sponsored bottle. You bought this. I don't know, what's the price point on this?
Pause.
No, dude, you just ordered this last week.
2 weeks ago.
Hopefully it's, if you want to look, but hopefully this is 50, 60, even maybe $70 at the most.
I click auto pay and then it just goes bling, and
that must be nice. You don't have to worry about the amount.
I wanted it. I've got enough money to cover. I need to find it. To find it. So.
Yeah, looking online, I mean, this bottle goes anywhere from $46 to $56. I think that's worth it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be disappointed if I had spent that.
$52.50.
$52. So yeah, I think that's worth it.
Yeah. Well, I give it an 89. It still hits me where I can't quite, for me, nail it down.
Remove the expectations that you thought bourbon.
I don't know if I can.
Look at the liquid. Look at the juice. It's delicious.
It's 89. Yeah, I mean, it's good. Here's the only thing for me, and this isn't a knock because 89 is good. It's like it doesn't fit in a niche, in a category, though. I can't put it in a rye, because I know that's what I was trying to do. Even when I first got it, I was thinking, my mind was, okay, this is going to be a type of bourbon. And then it didn't hit any of what my mind says is bourbon. And I'm thinking, well, the brandy's in there, but I've had brandy and I've had sherry, and it's not hitting like a scotch. And then some of those rye notes, but it's no pepper, it's no young beast. And it just was kind of in its own land, which is good. I think that's where it should be. It's so smooth, so it doesn't carry any punch or kick to it, but it's at 45%, which is an ABV I love. So
I would say it exceeded my expectations. Hearing Metallica working with Dave Pickerell,
I love that,
and that it's a blend of American whiskey.
Yeah.
Or a straight American whiskey, or just a blend of straight whiskeys.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, though. A blend of straight whiskeys finished in brandy cask. So that's what I'm talking about, though. It kind of goes in this weird land.
Very nicely done.
I didn't say it's bad. I've been to weird lands that are good. I've been to weird, good lands. I was in South Korea once. That was an odd land for me, and I loved it.
Well, and the reason it probably exceeds my expectations is after the Game of Thrones Johnny Walker edition that totally
so there's the point.
Disappointed.
And there's kind of where I wanted to go. This does not, first of all, it's not blazing with Metallica. I mean, if you were just in the store and saw it, you wouldn't even know.
Right.
So then the other thing is, that's kind of what I was saying before. It's not like they just said, well, we can throw our name on it. We know we can sell 1 million bottles or something. That's not what it looks like they did at all.
Yeah.
And the only thing not the only thing, one of the things that saddens me the most is that with Dave passing, how does that affect the future? I mean, how is it laid down? I don't know those answers. Gillespie had on his show, Whiskey Cast, had a lot of information and even a tribute to Dave, and knew Dave personally. And so I look for future stuff here. Is there, what else is laid down? What were the future plans? How far along are they? Because I do think they're onto something a little different here. Mm-hmm. So if you don't pigeonhole it. Don't put it in a pigeonhole. Is that the right area?
Sure.
Try it. We've given you our opinions, and it's a good whiskey, but it's very, very different. Mm-hmm. Very different.
So one thing, just point out real quick, a blend of straight whiskeys. We don't know what distilleries made the juices that are in here. Mm-hmm. All it says on the back is it's bottled by the Sweet Amber Distilling Company in Shoreham, Vermont.
Right.
Which is also where Whistle Pig is at, or Whiskey Pig, as you like to call it.
Yeah, and they had some stuff where I remember.
I don't know about Shoreham, but Vermont.
Right. Well, in San Francisco, I'm going to go too far, but I believe they were even, there was a whole distilling thing that was getting ready to happen, and they were buying stills from other places.
Sorry.
Yes.
Traveling dummy.
Thank you. Good shift. So, we have our friends. All right. What do we have here? You explain, because he's brought whiskey.
Dwayne Large. Of course, he's been over visiting Isla. He goes over there once or twice a year to different distilleries.
How do you do that?
But he's been sending pictures, Instagram, and tweeting at
all over
at Lagavulin, at Ballore, at Kilhoman.
We could put multiple shots of Dwayne up there.
But he's met up with Aqua Vitae.
We thought that was a great photo, and it almost looks like he's brought Roy some American whiskey, some bourbon. Mm. And they're sharing it, and they're having a good time together. And what does Aqua Vitae say, along with many other people?
It's not whiskey until it's shared.
Boom. And they're sharing. So I love that. Again, the world shrinks. I want to hang with Dwayne because he flies to Isla all the time. Mm. I think Dwayne's going to buy a castle in Isla. He's going to build it, and he's going to have a room for us. And we're going to be able to come over there and hang out. That's just fantasy land, but I could see it.
Okay.
Who knows? Sorry, I went down a road. Are you ready? We're going to scotch it.
I think so.
Scotch it. You Scotch gods.
Cilantro. Dummies.